So we've just had an eclipse just here. Well, it was only about 10% here in Canberra, but they had the full deal over in Western Australia. Yeah. It was a smidge. It was a smidgy eclipse where
look, the sun's
bit
slightly
of moon,
less.
bit of sun. Yeah, it's like the sun had a bite out of it.
I've never, ever been impressed by any eclipse I've seen live, and I'm really disappointed by that. Every time I'm like...
did you see any of the footage from Western Australia where they got the full deal?
Footage does not count. I mean,
okay, no.
In the person.
Well, I just want to give you a little bit of description because it sounds really cool.
Right.
So this comes from Dr. Sabine Belstead, who's an astronomer over at University of Western Australia. She was there for the whole magic. She said the moment of totality was beyond surreal. First, there was this very sudden darkening that had been slowly approaching for 15 minutes, which, it sort of slowly approaches, then it accelerates as it gets to the key bit.
Whomp.
I watched a video and it gets holy shit dark, dark. People started quietening. The temperature plummeted and the wind stilled. It was amazing to feel everything calm down around us. As 1 minute turned to 30 seconds to go and then 10 seconds to go, eclipse watchers, and remember, this is a collection of certain kind of people.
Sciences and nerds who challenge each other, who knows more about eclipses.
Eclipse watchers were overcome with bewilderment. I saw tears in eyes, goosebumps on arms, with only 58 seconds of totality.
Look, I'm sure it is. I'm sorry, I know you're going to tell me more and I'm going to be moved, but ever since childhood when they said there's going to be an eclipse today, I was out in the middle of the day going, it's going to get fucking dark right in the middle of the day. Oh my God, it did not. It barely changed.
Total eclipse, or did you see a little bit partial?
Allegedly total eclipse, but I didn't listen to all the details. I was a child. I was busy. I had shit to do. Anyway.
Yeah, it felt like there was too much that one wanted to see. From the eclipse itself to the corona of light around it, then the whole sky where stars suddenly popped through. Ooh. And the people on the ground gazing up in awe. You can just imagine, it's 58 seconds, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's cool.
This is cool. It was too much to see in that short time, Belstead says. It was definitely overwhelming.
She should take a picture.
Probably should. Yeah. Probably should. As the totality receded, everybody cheered. I can just imagine a group of however many it is, 200, 400,000 people, all just like, this is what we came a long way for. It would look
And all
so
of them
cool.
astronomers.
Possibly. Anyway, I was flicking through the images that came out of this. You know, there's a whole bunch. There's basically two different types of pictures here. Mm-hmm. Cool pictures of the sun and not the sun, you know.
Yeah.
The moon getting in front of the sun, living humanity's desire to imagine what it's like to destroy the sun, which we all want to do.
Oh, let's take a moment.
And then also a whole bunch of people looking at it.
Pictures of the lookers.
Pictures of the lookers.
Do they dress up?
From what I saw, yes and no.
Oh, God, that's not dressing up. That's forgetting to get dressed. I found a bag on the couch. I'll throw it on and wander out.
I feel like they were saying the star is over there. Like the beautiful thing is happening over there. I'm not the focus of this party.
I agree. And then someone took their picture and said, look.
That's true. No, but what I was looking at, there's everyone is with their equipment. So there's the telescope folk. They've got their telescopes up. There's a couple I saw with binoculars blacked out, you know, so they can
pinholes.
Well, yeah, there's the pinhole camera. So that's the recommended one where you put a hole in a piece of cardboard or paper.
Look at obliquely.
And look at it obliquely, which sounds a little bit like you're just looking at a photo, but
a live photo.
But still.
Tinfoil hats, many of those.
I didn't see any tinfoil hats.
Disappointed again, Eclipse.
There's the dorky glasses that look like 3D glasses. I did see a bunch of people in welding masks.
Fuck yeah!
So you can use a welding mask.
Now we're talking Darth Vader.
So I kind of imagine. I did see one headline that said it was a bit like Mad Max. Like you can imagine a fleet of people in welding masks staring at the sky. That makes me very happy.
Yeah. That's a great idea. I never thought of welding masks. Next eclipse, we're going to go and get welding masks.
We should do that. Western Australia is a good place to do it because this was in a pretty deserty area.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of light pollution. So it looked awesome. But the other thing that came with all of the articles was that standard advice that we've seen on all eclipse articles ever.
Don't Donald Trump it.
Don't look at the sun.
That's what he did.
Don't look at the sun. There's every article leading up to the eclipse is you can enjoy, but you're not allowed to look directly as much as you want to.
Do you know what sucks though? Like Trump looks at the sun, doesn't give a fuck. Nothing happened to him. Like his reality bubble is so powerful that it has astronomical influence.
Well.
Or something you're going to tell me. Okay.
All of these articles saying, don't look at the sun. Like that's a red rag to the Wholesome Show bull, because it says to me there's either two types of things going on here. One is there might have been a time when people thought, I can look at the sun if I want. It ain't going to hurt me. Or two, there might be some people out there who are like, nah, looking at the sun is just fine and dandy. And so today it's a little bit of column A and column B, because I'm going to tell the story of a man and his followers who not only shunned that nerdy pinhole camera and dark glasses, but they would take off all of their glasses and point their giddy, stupid faces at the sun as much as they bloody could. Welcome to The Wholesome Show.
The podcast that stares directly at the blazing hole of science. I'm doing it now.
Am I the blazing hole of science?
Today you are.
Thank you.
I have to squint a little bit.
Finally. The Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant.
And not him, Roderick Lamberts. You mentioned earlier, just before the excellent theme tune, Red Rag to the Wholesome Show bull. I didn't know we had a bull, but I'm very excited to meet it.
We should buy a bull. I'm going to start with the fundamental question of William Horatio Bates's life.
That's not a question.
Did he start as a quack? Or did something really strange happen to him?
When he was young, was he called Master Bates?
He probably was Master Bates.
There we go.
William Horatio Bates, born Newark, New Jersey in 1860. He graduated from Cornell University in 1881 and got a medical degree from Columbia, 1885.
But that was the stage where you actually had to go to uni to be a doctor.
You did. He's
Fancy
he's at the stage of fancy, go to uni, go to uni doctor, go to Columbia.
Okay.
And then he began practicing ophthalmology. So that's the eyeball one.
That was about maximising performance.
That would, yeah.
That's the best. That's all I got. That's all I got.
The eyeball one, ophthalmology, in New York. And he seems to have done pretty well for himself. Like the next 17 years, he was like pillar of the community. He was teaching, as well as his practice, he was teaching ophthalmology at the New York Postgrad Medical School. He was attending physician at the hospital at New York Postgrad Medical School and Bellevue Hospital and the New York Eye Infirmary.
And just eyes.
Just eyes. He was an eyeball guy.
What a fucking great specialisation, because you're sitting there, people come in, they got problems with their bums, they're vomiting, limbs hanging off, and you're like, no, eyes. You come in when someone's like been poked in the eye, I'm the guy. Other than that, leave me alone.
It's not a gross one at all. Like I know
it could be.
Specializations can be.
Could be. Like a slashed eyeball can't be pretty.
What they're all going to be a bit gross.
But I'm just thinking, no, of all of them, the only thing better maybe is a hair specialist or something. It's not really a disease, is it? No. It can be. It's torture. We suffer from this here every day.
No, he's eyeballs. But
that's good.
He's consulted by other physicians in unusual cases. He's like house eyeball MD. He also he invented stuff. He apparently invented the idea of adrenaline being used in eye surgery. I'm not sure how or why, but he did. Like this'll. so
hold still. No, fuck it. Have some adrenaline. Let's see what happens.
I coke you up on adrenaline? I don't know.
For eye surgery, you know what I reckon? No one cared what he was doing. No one was paying attention. He goes, watch this. My patient goes crazy. Oh, that's terrible.
But on August 30th, 1902, after he'd been practicing and living a sensible, normal life for 17 years, something really strange happened.
Yeah.
It began, as far as I can tell, with what the New York Times later called an affectionate, characteristic letter to his wife, Ada Seaman Bates.
Come on.
I know, Seaman
Come
Bates.
on. Master Bates and his wife, Seaman Bates. Master Seaman. This is excellent. We could just stop. This is a perfect episode. No,
Anyway.
Don't waste any more time with story.
Ada Bates had gone to visit her mother, who lived back in New Jersey for the weekend or something like that. And William Bates wrote a letter saying, "My dear wife, I'm called out of town to some major operations. I go with Dr. Forsch, an old student, to do a mastoid, some cataracts, and other operations. He promises me a bonanza. Too bad to miss the horse show, but I'm glad to get so much money for us all. I am in such a flurry. Do not worry, I will write details later. Yours lovingly, Willie.
I'm in a flurry, but don't worry, Willie.
That sounded solid.
Yeah.
Obviously, he used the word flurry regularly before, and he said don't worry, so she didn't worry.
See, so she's an obedient.
She stayed there in New Jersey with her mother for a couple of days. But a few days later, their janitor called.
Is the toilet leaking? Have you run out of buckets?
The janitor called and said, Mrs. Bates, your husband's not back. This was unusual. I don't know if the janitor regularly called and that was usual and he'd been away long, or it was unusual that he had been away for a while.
So the janitor also knew when he should be back.
Seems like it.
And gets worried.
Maybe there was a note to the janitor as well.
You need a concerned
yours
janitor.
lovingly, Willie.
Don't worry about the flurry.
Ada rushes back to the city and began the search for her husband.
How late are we talking though? Like days, months, years? I mean,
I think it's a couple of days. I have another marker in time in a bit.
Okay.
So this is a couple of days after he's gone.
So worthy of rushing.
Yeah, it's weird to rush at that point. Once the janitor calls, so the janitor says it's been a few days. The toilet hasn't flushed in that time or something. I'm monitoring the toilet.
There's nothing to clean. I'm very worried about your husband.
She asked everywhere up and down the city, but there was no sign. Where could he be? So she started asking family and friends, throughout the eastern seaboard of the US. And
so she walks up and down the streets of Newark.
New York.
New York.
So it's weird. Yeah, there's a Newark and a New York.
New York. Going, have you seen my husband? Okay, screw it. I'll try people he actually knows then.
Yes.
As my second go-to.
I'm not, no, look, that could be a flaw in my storytelling here.
First I walk up and down the street, then I'll ring people.
Maybe she rang people first.
No, I like your version better. Okay.
And then didn't turn up anything. So she asked around family and friends in Europe, which is a long way to jump to straight away.
Are we talking early 1900s?
1902.
So you're not exactly jumping on a flight.
Well, no, you're not. No. If you got to get to Europe, you are definitely taking the boat.
It's a long swim.
Still nothing.
Right.
But luckily, Bates himself was a prominent Mason. So he's quite well known in the Masons. So Ada says, all right, I'll go to the local Masonic chapter. I'll give them his picture and say, can you ask around? Like you ask your other chapters, send a photocopy around to a bunch of other places. See if anyone's seen it. 6 weeks later, she gets a hook.
6 weeks.
One of the other Masonic chapters from Britain, London, reports that a man fitting the doctor's description had been found working as a medical assistant at Charing Cross Hospital in London.
So that's unusual.
It is.
In two ways. Well, he's a doctor. Why is he a medical assistant?
Yeah, that's true.
And he's in Londres.
And it's in London. Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, the man had turned up there a few weeks earlier looking haggard, confused and gaunt, like he hadn't eaten in weeks.
Oh, that's the adrenaline.
Okay. He'd checked in as a patient.
Oh.
And then worked his way up to being a medical assistant.
Is that how it works?
I don't know.
Like I've been in hospital, and there was one time I was in hospital for a couple of weeks.
You're not doing it right.
Yeah, like they never went, oh, you've been here a while. Do you want to be a nurse?
Orderly, could you push some stuff around? Well, I've never heard this before.
Keep it up like this and you could be a surgeon in 2 to 5 years.
He might not have had any money at this point. There is.
Can I work it off?
There is some suggestion that he definitely had a bunch of money in his bank account, but he might not have been able to access it. Anyway, Mrs. Bates.
So ragged, dishevelled, and working as a medical assistant.
Yeah, jumps on the boat, goes all the way to London,
and in nigh on only mere 4 weeks she was there.
It is something
zipped
like
across
that.
on the hydrofoil,
something like that.
Yeah.
So she turned up at the Charing Cross Hospital, and there's her husband. Things didn't go so well. She found her husband in an exhausted, nervous state with no recollection of either recent events or his previous life in New York.
Oh, God.
Apparently, he didn't even recognize her.
Cool.
He said to her, I don't know why you bother, madam. We are strangers.
How relaxing for her.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, she persuaded him to, all right, I can look after you for a bit. I've got a room at the Savoy Hotel.
Yeah.
Come
slum it with me.
Can you come there for a period of rest and recovery?
Okay.
It's there. He started to dimly recall a few details. And I don't know if this is recalling or he's making it up. And this story seems a little bit weird to me.
I'm going to go with absolute truth.
He recalled being called away from New York to board a ship and perform an operation on a sailor with a brain abscess. But oh no, the ship had sailed while he was operating.
Oopsie. You've heard it 1,000 times. I mean,
If I'm a doctor and there's a sailor who has a problem, I'm like, let's either don't sail the boat
get off the boat.
or get off the boat. I'm not just
Let's do it on the dock.
and you just end up in London because you don't get off the boat.
So you're saying you're calling bullshit on that story? Or maybe oopsie on that story?
And weirdly, he'd been stuck on the boat and then somehow he'd forgotten his whole life when he'd arrived in London.
Oh, it can happen at sea. You know what it's like. You've been to sea.
You cross the date line? No, you don't cross the date line between there, but you cross the continent line.
Back then there was a date line.
There's one in between there.
It moves. It's magnetic.
Oh, yeah.
And El Nino related. That's just science.
He'd forgotten his whole life.
Okay, I think there's more going on than just going on a trip.
That's what I wonder. I wonder if elements of this, maybe he didn't want to be in his life anymore and he ran further than he should have done. Anyway.
I meant to go to Oregon. I ended up in London. Oh, it's because I forgot everything.
Confused but relieved, Mrs. Bates planned to stay in London for as much time as necessary for her husband to recover from the ordeal.
Okay.
And for some of the memories of their previous life to surface again. 2 days later, Dr. Bates abruptly walked out of the Savoy Hotel, disappearing once more into the London crowd. And Mrs. Bates never saw her husband again. After he walked out of the Savoy Hotel that autumn day, his wife spent years tirelessly searching for him up and down Europe and the east coast of America, tracing every clue that she could find.
And she started again with the strangers on the street. Has this worked so well for her in the past?
Call the janitor again. Have you seen anything?
Has he come home?
Apparently, she died 5 years later, reportedly embracing a portrait of her husband in 1907.
Of course. All novels end that way.
While Ada, sadly, never saw her husband, William Bates, again, others did. But it wouldn't be for 8 years after he walked out of the Savoy. The idea, I mean, all that has been pieced out of this period is that he was a wandering itinerant doctor in Europe.
A mendicant priest.
Yeah, well, I would trust a mendicant priest. I would be happy.
You?
Well, no. If I've got a wandering person who is like, listen to the voice of Cosmos, I'd be like, okay, that's interesting.
Also, I'm an ophthalmologist.
So, yeah, exactly. I'm not sitting around waiting for a homeless ophthalmologist to go, oh, finally, my eyeball has been having some trouble.
Homeless, wandering.
Without home. No fixed address ophthalmologist is not the ophthalmologist
like,
for me.
Will drop pants for food or prefer eye surgery.
I like the idea of, busking. You get the hat there, and it's like it's any eye operation. I can do it.
I can juggle, and I can also remove cataracts.
I mean, there is no real information of where he was during this time. This is just assumed from some of the stories that are pitched together.
Natural assumption, wandering doctor. All right, I accept.
But in 1910, a good friend of Dr. Bates from his New York days, Dr. J.E. Kelly, happened to be passing through a town in North Dakota, Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
A small town, 12,000 people.
Everyone's heard of it.
And there, under circumstances never revealed in detail, and I read a bunch like the New York Times obituary, the New York Times story, no one knew that. Kelly recognized his old friend who had set up a small ophthalmology practice for himself in the town at some point.
It's part of the giveaway. Is that you, Willie?
Yeah, probably. A few months later, Kelly persuaded Bates to return back to New York, despite having no memories of being in New York before or any of the...
Still.
Yeah, no, he's got apparently no memories.
I'm going to call claiming no memories.
Claiming no memories of his time in New York or his time before. Like he's not putting down memories. And said, do you want to go into practice together?
That's what you do with most amnesiacs.
Do you forget everything? How about we start a business
Let's go into business.
Look, if you're a scam guy, going into business with an amnesiac could be awesome. It's like you can just change the contract all the time.
Unless you needed them to remember something critical.
That's true. Yeah.
Look, forget 90% of what I'm about to tell you. I'll tell you which 10% to keep. Yeah.
Look, I don't think I would ever want to go into business with a total forget everything person. I mean, I forget everything at the best.
I was going to say,
I'm not an amnesiac.
Right now, we're both perilously close to have done.
I remember who I am at least.
Do you? John?
What? Where am I?
Keith? You're on a boat doing eye surgery.
So they set up a little practice on West 83rd Street with two little white leather signs, Dr. J.E. Kelly and Dr. W.H. Bates.
White leather signs?
white lettered.
Oh, leather. Leather's cooler. Carry on.
So he lived quietly with his old friend, Dr. Kelly, and gradually began building up a practice, as he did years ago, starting his career anew.
Any inkling of how old he is now?
He's 51.
There you go. That's pretty precise.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's never too late to reinvent.
So 8 years missing, 17 years beforehand and he's got more career in front of him.
Yes, he does.
So someone said it was as if he had a chunk of his mind removed, like a slice of watermelon chopped away and eaten by an invisible monster. But it didn't hold him back.
What an analogy.
It's
like chopped away. You could have stopped the chopped away and eaten by an invisible monster.
But it's an invisible monster that loves watermelon.
They all do.
I'm sure they do.
Because it dissolves quickly, so it doesn't reveal their whereabouts.
He built up his career again. He went on to serve as an attending physician at Harlem Hospital. He eventually remarried, I think twice. To outside observers, his life had resumed a rhythm of normalcy.
Okay.
With one major exception. I'm going to use Nate Peterson's description here. In his field of ophthalmology, where he'd been viewed for years as a luminary, suddenly he stepped off the deep end. Bates's theory seems to have developed in the years between 1910 and 1920. He might have had some of it while he was a wandering doctor, but we can go with the start of his 1920 book, which is probably his biggest impact book, The Cure of Imperfect Sight by Treatment Without Glasses.
Oh, Eclipse treatment.
And he starts with the very beginning with the fundamental principle. I'm going to give you some instructions here, Rod, because you have your glasses on. I should have glasses on, but, do you read imperfectly?
No, I read like a genius.
Take your glasses off for a sec.
Is that even words?
Can you observe then that when you look at the first word or the first letter of a sentence, you don't see where you are looking, that you see other words or other letters just as well or better than the one you're looking at?
But only if I look at the first word?
Yeah. Yeah, like you look at a word and the words around it sort of pop into your brain.
Yep.
Do you also observe that the harder you try to see, the worse you see?
Sure.
Okay, now close your eyes.
Now it's even worse.
Yeah. No, you got to rest them for a little bit.
Oh.
I'll give you some other techniques later, but you got to rest them, like really rest them. Remember some color. Black or white. Can you remember black or white?
Which one, man? It's a lot of pressure.
Black. Keep focusing on the black. Keep them closed until your eyes feel rested or until the feeling of strain has been completely relieved. Look at your face. You look very relaxed. This is your sleep face.
I know how to chill.
Open them and look at the first word or letter of a sentence for a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
If you've been able to relax partially or completely, you will have a flash of improved or clear vision.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Well, that ruins the...
I assume that means I didn't relax enough. As in all good religions or crackpot theories, you didn't try hard
You
enough.
didn't try hard.
Yeah.
In this way, you can demonstrate for yourself the fundamental principle of the cure of imperfect sight by treatment without glasses. Now, I was.
So you know what's interesting about that? Because I just put my glasses back on, clear as a whistle, all the words.
It's
amazing.
No, you're not allowed to have the glasses. So what was Bates's theory? Instead of muscles inside the eye and the moving the lens, and poor eyesight is either that there's a problem with the lens or a problem with the muscles inside the eye. He was like, no, it's the muscles outside your eye. What they
biceps.
Not that far out. No, just the ones a little, like around your face.
Glutes.
No, closer. Like just the ones around your
face muscles. Okay.
Face muscles.
Like triceps.
So what they do in his theory is they squeeze your eyeball. If you want to look at further or longer or closer objects, they squeeze your eyeball either a little bit longer or a little bit shorter to adjust this. In his idea, bad eyesight is because the muscles around your face are too strained. Like they're all too strained. And so if we relax them, then we can all get better eyesight.
So Botox should help.
Potentially. Now, just a quick spoiler.
This is good.
This is all bullshit. So
no, is it?
I just wanted you to know
Is
this.
it?
Yeah, you did. No, there are some animals that actually do adjust their vision like this. Fish and I think maybe rabbits, maybe fish do. Anyway, humans
very similar.
Humans don't.
No,
They have rigid eyeballs that
just proved
that don't change at all, really at all,
No.
by the face muscles. So he's just stressing here. His theory is garbage, but the idea. The idea he has is that glasses are crutches that make your eyes weak, and they put too much strain, all this strain around your face. And all we need to do is relax.
So the whole don't get glasses because it'll make your eyes weaker is something that was received wisdom when I was a youth.
I don't think he was the first person to say that. He definitely, he hated glasses.
But the idea that it makes your eyes lazy, that was a strong theory, at least when I was in primary school, maybe even high school. But it wasn't because your face muscles get flaccid from the effort.
He had
other reasons.
It is nice, like all early 20th century science. He combined it with some nice little bits of racism. So if you get a black eye, you see worse. Boom. No. Inside his book, he had pictures of what he called primitive people.
Lovely.
And I'll just read this caption here.
Yeah.
The sight of this primitive pair, meaning two men from the Patagonians, and the following groups of
dudes in the tennis outfits.
Yeah, they are very tennis outfits. Yeah. But they were at the World's Fair at St. Louis. So
where everyone had to wear tennis outfits. They seriously got white headbands and white polo shirts, and they're staring blankly straight ahead.
They do look very ready for tennis.
It's entirely tennis with bad moustaches.
No, they're not bad. But he's saying, if you can look, he's like...
I can't tell for sure because I use glasses. I use the crutch.
You're allowed your glasses on for this moment.
I'm a crutcher.
The sight of these people was tested at the World's Fair and found to be normal. And he's saying that primitive people, because they don't have glasses, all have normal eyes because they look after their face properly.
It's noble savage. It's paleo. Everything in the past was pure, beautiful, and perfect.
Yeah. But he's saying right at this moment, you can see they're squinting right now.
Oh, dear.
Because...
headbands.
Because they've obviously been disturbed by having their picture taken because they're unused to facing a camera. Their
souls being stolen.
They are. So that's what...
Patagonians. So South Americans.
Patagonian tennis players.
Yeah. Professional. So I assume they're doing doubles.
The cool thing in this book, he's got a whole photos of some racist photos of people, but also of just all sorts of different people. And he's spotting eye troubles just from their face. Mm-hmm. Like he can see, he's screwing up his left eye. That means it's myopia. And he's squinting a little bit. That means whatever.
And a photograph is definitely the perfect capturing of a whole person's life. It's true. It's true.
Or also knowing what they're seeing. It is not.
You can tell.
But somehow he believes he developed.
Are you an ophthalmologist?
No, I'm not.
There you go.
So what did he recommend for treatment?
I'm very excited.
Well, we'll start.
Eclipses, I assume.
Yeah, we'll start with the benign ones. The first one, you can take off your glasses to try this one.
He's trying to kill me.
Well. Step one actually is throw away your glasses.
I'm not going to do that.
He's like,
I'm not going to do that. I love this show.
All right, just put them on the table.
Okay, I can do that.
In one article, he's got, more than 30 years ago, not knowing any better and being guided by the practice of other eye doctors, I recommended patients with imperfect sight to throw away their eyes and see with their glasses. Since that time, I have made some valuable discoveries which have enabled me to cure people without glasses. The slogan now is, throw away your glasses.
Don't throw away
and
your
see
eyes.
with your eyes.
Whoa.
Wild.
Throw away your eyes? I see a flaw in the plan.
That's yeah, okay. He was really quiet. He's got a whole chapter on how terrible glasses are, which is weird because it combines both, glasses are a crutch that weaken your eye, but also they're also really ugly and annoying. Like if people get dirt specks on them, it's terrible.
It's true. Psychiatric disorders abound. There's a smudge on my glasses. I may have to murder a family.
When you see multiple reasons for something, and it's like, just because they're ugly is not the reason.
Also, glasses can be cool.
Glasses can be totally cool. I
know you're excited.
I'm very excited.
And I got to say, I mean, even though I now actually need them, which is annoying, there are times I put on a new pair of glasses and think, fucking cool glasses.
Oh, man. Yeah, totally. I look like I read some stuff.
Lucky me, as opposed to people who go unnamed who would just wear the frames or plain clear glass to try and look more something.
Or a monocle.
Nothing wrong with a monocle.
Can I have two monocles? Am I allowed to do that?
But then you got to do this the whole time to hold them in. If you don't know what I'm doing, you need to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Okay, now some physical exercises.
I'm going to leave these off. That's right. Yeah.
So the first one seems pretty benign.
Okay.
It's called, he called it palming, where you cover your eyes with your palms for a bit to deepen the
I have
relaxation.
to say, when someone called Master Bates tells me about palming, I get a little nervous, but I'll try it this way instead.
So you got to cover your eyes with your palms. I got a hat on, so I can't really do it. Yeah, you keep them like that for a while.
An hour?
And now you got to really relax.
But I'm standing up.
Do you see black, or do you see like spots of color?
Studio lights. I'm getting flashes of studio lights and black. I'm seeing the residual effects of the studio lights because we have studio lights on us and they're fairly bright. And blackness.
Okay, if you can see black, it means your eyes are nice and relaxed. And so therefore you're practicing and you'll be
or
better.
closed, but yes, carry on. With the hands over.
and this is an exercise to make sure that your eyes get properly relaxed.
By palming.
Because he's thinking that all that stress around your eyes and the muscles around your eyes, that's why you can't see properly.
Right.
And if you relax properly, then when you take your palms off, you'll be able to.
Should I do that?
Yeah, you can take them off. You can see. Do you see better?
Everything's perfect now.
Finally.
I thought you were blonde.
It's a hat.
He's amazing.
Okay, now there's a couple of other exercises. These are, I'm not sure what the logic on this was, but it's more about eyeball movement. You swing your eyeballs left and right, like they're watching a pendulum or something.
What about this one?
Yeah, that's good. And that exercise that loosens them up, makes them loose and goosey, and then they'll focus better.
No, every time I do that, I get a headache.
We got to do it more.
That's true. Whenever I get a headache, I think, what caused it? Do more of that.
Do more. You know, exactly.
I haven't drunk enough.
That's your body asking for more of that is the...
Our cameras can't capture my eyeball gymnastics, but they're remarkable.
Look, there is a whole bunch of him and his friends at this time who they lean into the idea of if your body says this hurts, do more because it's learning to cope with the pain and that will make you stronger.
Builds resilience.
There was an edited version that came out a while later that took out some of the wildest theories, but there are still people who very much believe that you can see better by good eyeball exercises.
Look, and maybe it makes some difference. I don't know. But
It's tricky to work out how much of this would be psychosomatic, how much of this might actually be something, there might be a little bit of relaxation that, straining probably.
Your eyes get dopier too. Like if you're tired and your vision, I mean, even if you have good vision, you get tired, your eyes can get a bit fuzzier and lazier. And when you need glasses, as I do, your eyes do get worse when they're tired. So relaxing, eating a balanced diet of carrots and asparagus, drinking low sodium mineral water, obviously.
I think it is still very appealing for people that are like, I don't want glasses. And you can understand why this is appealing. But his final exercise that he reckoned is have a bit of a stare at the sun.
Nope.
I gotta say the pictures in this book are wild. This picture here, woman with normal vision looking directly at the sun. Note that the eyes are wide open and that there is no sign of discomfort.
No, but she does look drugged.
She looks happy or something. I can only
zombie-like.
I'll show you some other pictures in a second. So this chapter was vision under adverse conditions, a benefit to the eye.
First, we start with gravel. Now broken glass. Now a blowtorch.
There was an ancient doctor who prescribed ground up sapphires for eye problems. At first, that is a very expensive cure. Anyway.
So I just read something today where, ophthalmologists or doctors are still saying to people, you need to stop putting amniotic fluid in your eyes.
Amniotic fluid?
And it was for conjunctivitis or something bizarre, but like people are actually doing that. And then they went on to describe in great detail that amniotic fluid is basically baby piss and bits of poo. And
where are we getting the amniotic fluid?
Providers of alternative services.
People will fucking sell everything, won't they?
Yeah. And their concern was great enough that there were actually people who were selling products that did appear to include amniotic fluid.
Whoosh. You know that there are fake amniotic fluid providers, though.
Of course. I mean, who hasn't heard that?
I mean, it'd be far easier.
We all know that. That's obvious.
I
was warned as a child.
In all of the quack industry, there must be a whole line of people that are going, all right, it's far easier not to and just get a bit of, baby piss, regular baby piss.
Yeah, something that smells a bit gross and looks unusual. Boom.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Anyway. Weird coincidence, but literally was reading that today. It's like, you have to tell people not to put that in their eyes. What else do you have to tell them?
Quite a freaking lot.
I mean, what's
quite
left?
a lot? Yeah. Quite a lot.
Don't eat your own body parts. I mean, I don't know.
It is not light, but darkness that is dangerous to the eye. Prolonged exclusion from the light always lowers the vision and may produce serious inflammatory conditions.
No, that chick who just came out of the cave after 500 days, she can see. You didn't see that story either?
I saw that story.
Yeah,
I saw that story.
She can see.
When the eyes are properly used, vision under adverse conditions not only doesn't injure them, but actually a benefit because greater degree of relaxation is required to see under such conditions than under more favourable ones. I'm not sure about this. He's saying looking into the sun helps you relax. So the eye in the process of evolution, like back through history, has acquired the ability to take care of itself under extreme conditions of illumination to a degree hitherto deemed highly improbable. Persons with normal sight have been able to look at the sun for an indefinite length of time, even an hour or longer, without any discomfort or loss of vision.
Yeah, okay.
Immediately afterwards, they were able to read a eyesight test card with improved vision, their sight having become better than what is ordinarily considered normal.
Immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you have any problems looking at the eye, looking at the sun, if you get strange colours, scotomata, which is like spots in your vision, or if you go totally blind, that's only mental illusions.
Oh, it's on you.
I'll read you a case in a
If you
second.
go totally blind, it's because you didn't do it right.
Here's two other photos from his book. I love this one. Woman age 37 with child age 4, both looking directly at the sun without discomfort.
And neither look happy.
Neither look happy. That is the oldest looking baby I've ever seen.
Yeah, that kid looks 40.
That is a 40-year-old.
The lines around the mouth, the world weariness in the eyes.
Mum, why are we staring at the sun?
That also looks like a picture of Prince Charles down the bottom there.
Yeah, that is definitely. He's king now. He's King Charles.
No, but back then, at that age, he was only a prince.
Also check this one.
Yep.
This is focusing the rays of the sun upon the eye of a patient.
Focusing.
By means of a burning glass. Like by burning glass, he means magnifying glass here. And he is literally focusing it harder onto the eyeball.
What is it about the word burning that eluded him?
And the patient said, sure.
Fuck yeah.
Sure. How could that possibly
I already
go
find
wrong?
it a little bit tricky to read the newspaper. Please magnifying glass my eye.
You know, it's the ability to go, no, all of that pain you are experiencing is a mental illusion.
Makes you stronger. Jesus. Tits.
So he put in a whole bunch of case studies. He's like, here's an example. In one of the cases, the sensitiveness of the patient, even to ordinary daylight, was so great that an eminent specialist had felt justified in putting a black bandage over one eye and covering the eye with smoked glass so dark as to be nearly opaque. So basically someone who normally is blocked out from all light.
Right.
She was kept in a condition of almost total blindness for 2 years without any improvement.
Damn.
Other treatment extending over some months also failed to produce satisfactory results. But I then got her to look directly at the sun. The immediate result, of course, was total blindness, which lasted several hours. But
yeah, look, just blind for a bit. Yeah.
But next day the vision was not only restored to its former condition, but was improved.
20/40 vision. 60/70.
Not quite.
Okay.
The sun gazing was repeated next day and the day after, and each time the blindness lasted for a shorter period. At the end of a week, the patient was able to look directly at the sun without discomfort, and her vision, which had been 2200, which just to explain, means you can see at 20 feet what a normal person can see at 200. So that is basically that 2200 is the legal definition of blindness. So what you can see 20 feet, 6 meters away.
Yeah.
Normal person can see at 200 feet, a long way.
So 20/20 means you can see at 20 feet what everyone else can see at 20 feet.
Yeah.
Is that all it means?
That's all it means.
I've never known.
I hadn't known until I looked this up.
Because people say, I got 20/20 vision. I'm like, tops.
It's 20 out of 20.
Congrats.
So if you've got worse vision, the second number is bigger. So her vision had been 2200 without glasses and 20/70 with them.
21/99.
Had improved to 20/10.
Nope.
Twice the standard accepted for normal vision.
It had not. I'm going to go with unverified bullshit. Or it was already, she was Clark Kent.
Also, there's another weird bit where he reckons his vision technique of imagining black, that's part of this. Yeah, he's operating on eyeballs without anesthesia, just by people imagining black.
Is it, wait, so a number of questions. One is, are there nerves in eyeballs? I'm thinking no.
Probably not on the inside. I mean, a big optic nerve, but other than that, no.
But like if I take this needle and pop it in your eye right now, other than thinking about it being horrifying, your eye wouldn't actually go,
No,
that
fine.
hurts.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
Yeah. So
listener, give it a go. Let us
give
know.
it a go. And you don't even have to imagine.
No, I mean, don't give it a go. But this is not a legal advice or anything. I mean, do, but don't.
But don't. And to be fair, if anyone thinks what we're advising is credible, see a psychiatrist.
Blame someone else first.
For sure.
Find a credible person to blame, then do it, and then report back to them and then to us.
Yep.
So anyway, he published this in a couple of places. There was the big book, the 1921. He teamed up with a guy that I've talked about a while ago, Bernard McFadden.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah, he was big into the raw food movement in the 1910s, 1920s.
Yeah.
He changed his name from Bernard to Bernard because it sounded more like a lion roaring.
Why just change your name to... How do you spell that? I don't know.
Apparently, thousands of people loved it.
Apparently.
Amongst the most famous was Aldous Huxley.
Brave New World.
Brave New World, yeah. Doors of Perception, who from the age of 16, he had a disease that made he had terrible vision. One eye could basically only sort of perceive light but not actually see. Okay. The other had 10/200, which is breaking the scale, but it should have been 2400. 2400, yeah.
I've learned something. I'm not used to learning on this podcast.
But then he heard of the Bates method, and within a couple of months, I was reading without spectacles. And
Bullshit.
what was better still, without strain and fatigue. Mm-hmm. At the present time, my vision, though far from normal, is about twice as good as what it used to be when I wore spectacles.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
But there was a sad story. In 1952,
finally,
Aldous Huxley was speaking at a Hollywood banquet wearing no glasses, apparently reading his paper from the lectern without difficulty, but then suddenly he faltered and the disturbing truth became obvious. He wasn't reading his address at all. He'd learned it all by heart.
Yep.
To refresh his memory, he brought the paper closer to his eyes. When only an inch or so away, he still couldn't read it and had to fish for a magnifying glass in his pocket to make the typing visible. It was an agonizing moment. It's just... it's people deluding themselves as well.
Yeah, I get it. You want it to be better.
Everyone does. Everyone does. And
I'd rather not need glasses. Like I was reading a porridge recipe the other day, as you do.
Who needs other recipes?
Well, this is what surprised me. So I got these organic oats, and I haven't had oats for a while, and I thought, that's normally what about? So it's one unit of oats to 2 to 2.5 units of liquids on average. And this recipe was written so infinitesimally small. I thought, are these special oats? And I'm looking at it and squinting going, does that say 1/3 of a cup to 1/2 of a cup? That doesn't make any sense. I must be blind. I put my glasses on, still couldn't read it.
Hey.
I'm holding it at arm's length.
No, that's no good.
I ended up getting the old iPhone magnifier out and it was still only barely visible. And I realized it's not just because I'm blind. It was ridiculously small. And then as my partner wakes up, I said,
getting smaller.
The recipe was wrong. And she says, so 2 things you've just told me this morning. A, you needed the Apple magnifier to see a recipe for oats. And 2, you're damning the recipe as wrong and you've corrected it. Are you going to write them a letter?
You are getting older.
I'm a beastic off it. But I was really like, dear sir, I wish to register a complaint.
Your recipe is too small.
It's minuscule. And when I could finally see it using many prostheses, it was incorrect.
I like it.
That's my blindness story. That's all I have. But it does incorporate oats and I know you love an oat.
In the end, the Federal Trade Commission issued a complaint against Bates for advertising falsely or misleadingly. But his methods continue to grow in popularity. A whole bunch of people seduced by the idea of improving their eyesight without resorting to corrective measures. I mean, basically, people can experience abrupt, fleeting moments of clear vision while practicing, or there's a whole bunch of using your imagination. Well, using your imagination to see what is there, we are very, very good at filling in the gaps.
And often with stuff that ain't there at all, but that's part of it as well.
Yeah. And some were able, supposedly, to throw away their eyeglasses. Bates himself died in 1931 after, weirdly...
Stepping out in front of traffic because he didn't realise?
No, his son, his son did a runner as well, like disappeared all of a sudden in 1929.
Master Bates the second, still no good.
And it's like, yeah, maybe something's going on. Yeah. But his office and the teaching practices were taken over by his third wife, Emily, and Dr. Harold Peppard. They published an updated version of his book that took out a bit of the sun gazing, like they minimised it. They said looking at the sun is good for a bit and
just a glance.
Just a little bit less. They also took out you can imagine black and that'll mean you don't feel pain. This revised version was revised several times and is still in print. And there's still some sun treatment. but it's just on the whites of the eyes. There is also still
Just on the
there's
whites.
also a kids book available that they're pushing out now.
What a good idea.
I see clearly.
Did you buy one?
I looked at it, but I didn't.
The first 9 million people to email Will at his secret address.
I feel like we shouldn't be pushing this because in general this is quack. This is quackery. Listen to legitimate ophthalmologists and optometrists, and probably if you need glasses, get glasses. So take home message: don't stare at the sun. You might not go permanently blind if you watch an eclipse, but it can do damage. Here's a nice description from the clinical spokesman for the American Academy of Ophthalmology, Russell Van Gelder. It's like a magnifying glass. You use a magnifying glass and you can concentrate the sun to burn a hole in paper. Your lens in your eye is about 4 times as strong.
Cool.
So if you're looking at the sun, then you are focusing that on the back of your eye and you will absolutely burn a hole in the back of your retina, literally.
So that's bad?
Yes.
Okay.
Patients with this condition, known as solar retinopathy, show a very characteristic pattern of eye damage. It looks like someone took a hole punch and just punched out the photoreceptive cells in the retina.
God damn. So it's neat.
Most of them do recover pretty quickly. So there was a 2002 study of 15 patients.
Do they compensate?
I guarantee there's a whole bunch
They don't rebuild.
I think there's both, and they rebuild. They rebuild, and people compensate quite quickly. So the testing is done in a rigorous way to test for how they would to get around the compensation. People definitely compensate in their life.
Because you've done those experiments like where our optic nerve pops in the back of our retina, we're blind. We're completely
just that spot,
and we don't notice because our eyes constantly wiggle a little bit to make up for.
Yeah.
Like they're doing constant readings and scans, and it's amazing what we actually make up for already.
No, so
in normal vision.
So from what I was reading, it was we're doing a lot of that compensation work, and that will happen like straight away after the burning event. But the retina itself will heal.
Oh fuck! I had no idea.
So 2002 study of 15 patients in England with solar retinopathy from viewing an eclipse in 1999.
Yep.
All but 2 had normal vision on an eye exam 8 to 12 months later.
Damn.
There were some subtle eye problems, and theoretically someone could become legally blind, but just not likely to happen because you'll get a burnt spot, but you'll still get all your peripheral vision around.
So they're just doing it to scam the government out of money.
Is the thing. You 100% can do significant damage to your eyes if you stare at the sun. So don't. But if you accidentally did it during an eclipse or something like that,
it could be okay.
Don't worry.
You could still be president of the United States twice.